Hello, and welcome to a very special Madman restoration video. In this video, I will be refinishing one of the most popular pieces of mid-century modern furniture. The arches are a dead giveaway that this is Brasilia by Broyhill. Along with Brasilia's popularity, I have seen a lot, and I mean a lot, of really bad Brasilia refinishes. But don't worry, I will show you how to give Brasilia a proper refinish. As for this piece, it was found in a barn and is in actually decent structural condition, but needs a complete refinish. There is also something very special about this piece. It comes with a china cabinet top. Lucky me. The condition on the top is better than the base, but as you can see, previous owner installed contact paper. Now let's get started. First things first, I'm going to remove the famous Brasilia brass pools. I will also be removing the doors. And for what will probably be the easiest part of this project is stripping the doors with QCS. I simply spray QCS on the doors and let it do its thing. Use promo code MADMAN and get 10% off your order. One of the great benefits of QCS is that I can spray and walk away and not worry about it darkening or damaging the piece. While the QCS sits, I'm going to work on another part of the piece. Now I have the pleasure of removing the old contact paper. I use a heat gun to warm up the old glue on the contact paper and slowly remove it. Now that the contact paper is gone, it's time to remove the sticky residue it left behind. And to do that, I will be using naphtha and steel wool. Naphtha is a great overall product, and this is one of its great uses. It will help remove the residue, but it will not hurt the finish. The QCS has been sitting for about 20 or 30 minutes. Now I'm going to rub the finish off with steel wool soaked in QCS. You can clearly see how easy the finish is coming off. In my opinion, this is the best and easiest way to strip these curved edge doors of Brasilia. Now for my favorite part about QCS is the cleanup. There is no nasty stripper goop from your regular gel strippers. I simply use a rag soaked in water and wipe the finish up and let it dry. This is what it looks like completely dry. I did miss a few spots, but that is totally user error. The finish on the top is so brittle, I'm going to use my scraper to scrape it off. Now that the piece is stripped, I'm going to sand using 150 grit sandpaper. When I finish sanding, I like to wipe with acetone to remove any of the wood dust left behind from sanding. At this angle, you can see that the top looks like it's almost split into two halves. In this case, the top is actually two separate pieces of veneer. This may offend some Brasilia people, but in my opinion, Broyhill veneer choices are average at best. While some American furniture companies like Lane and even Bassett seem like they were very intentional in what veneers they would use, Broyhill just didn't seem to want to be bothered, and this is a clear example. This is something that is very common on American mid-century furniture. The lighter color variation in the walnut veneer is caused by sapwood from the tree. It is not ideal and not intended to stand out on this piece of furniture. Then for the legs, we have a solid piece that looks like oak or elm. Getting these different wood tones to match is not something you can do by buying products from a big box store. The first step in the coloring process is to use stain. This stain is completely different than the stains you can buy at the big box stores. This is a highly pigmented solvent-based stain. The stains at the big box stores are penetrating stains. They will accentuate imperfections in the wood and highlight things such as scratches, and possibly make the piece look blotchy. This is a big no-no. I apply using a chip brush, and then when I'm done staining the piece, I wipe off with a shop towel. Remember, coloring is a process and it cannot be done in one step. I will be staining the entire piece. This is the first step in getting the different wood variation colors to match. Next is time to use vinyl sealer. These are the products that I use. The ratio is pretty standard, 70% sealer or lacquer, 30% lacquer thinner, and just a splash of blush retarder. The ratio and process is the same even for your lacquer top coats. I get asked this question a lot, but you do not need to have an HVLP sprayer to use these products. Mohawk sells these exact products in spray cans where there's no mixing involved. Next, I scuff the entire piece with 320 grit sandpaper, and then I repeat the process of vinyl sealer and scuffing one more time. Now that the bottom is sealed, it's time to address really the only major damage to the top part of the hutch. My goal is to leave the piece as is and just address this spot that needs Bondo and in painting. First thing I'm going to do is wipe the area with naphtha. Next, I like to tape the edge so I don't get any unwanted body filler in the veneer. Mix the body filler according to the directions on the can. Then I like to place a generous amount of body filler in the area. Before the Bondo completely dries, I like to scrape off the excess with a utility knife. Then I sand it flat with 320 grit sandpaper. With the little divots that are there, I just put a little more Bondo and sand them flat. Now it's time to in-paint, and to start I spray a couple quick coats of vinyl sealer. When in-painting, I like to start by trying to find the lightest color in the wood. Then seal with vinyl sealer. Next, I like to paint grain lines. Every piece of furniture and grain pattern is unique. I'm trying to mimic the natural grain pattern that is already in this piece. As you can see, I'm trying to extend that long piece of grain along with a bunch of the little dots that look like grain in the wood. Then another quick coat of vinyl sealer. After the grain lines, I like to try and find the second lightest color and apply that onto the area. Then more vinyl sealer. I basically repeat this process until I am happy with the results. This is what it looks like after in painting. The camera definitely picks up more details than the naked eye. However, I will be putting a little toner, and when I seal with lacquer, this will barely be noticeable. Now I can resume and put vinyl sealer on the entire china cabinet top. Next, which is a very important part, I use medium brown American walnut toner on the lighter pieces of the wood. The purpose is to bring the lighter colored pieces closer to the walnut veneer on the rest of the piece. A lot of people are skeptical about using toner. It does have a learning curve to it, but you have to remember you are slowly building up color. It is not spray paint where you could just spray one heavy coat. Lots of little coats is what you need. Now it's time to use raw umber glaze on the entire piece. When the glaze starts to haze over like car wax, it's time to wipe the excess off in the direction of the grain. Now I'm going to spray the entire piece with satin lacquer top coats, which is the same process as vinyl sealer from earlier. If you look carefully, you can see my gun leaked drops of lacquer. This happened because I overfilled my gun with product. This can be very annoying and frustrating, especially because you're at one of the final steps, but it's not the end of the world. To fix, you need to make sure the drop is completely dry. Then I sand flat with 320 grit sandpaper. My tip here is to not rush this. It really does need to be completely dry, because if it is not, you will smear all the color that you just put onto the piece. After the first coat of lacquer, I scuff everything with 320 grit sandpaper. Then I spray one more heavy coat of lacquer, but do not sand this coat. While the lacquer dries, I want to prep the hardware. While most of the time people usually just clean brass hardware with Brasso, these were actually coated with lacquer from the factory. So what I'm doing is using very hot water and a little bit of dish soap to scrub off the old grime and finish so these pieces are nice and clean for lacquer. Here is a quick difference of what the hardware looks like after cleaning. I give a quick wipe with acetone just to make sure the area is completely clean. Then I spray a couple quick coats of lacquer that is specifically made for brass. Nothing left but to put the piece together. Now here it is, all finished. Now with the china cabinet top on, you can see that the color is pretty much an exact match. Please like and subscribe this video, and follow my Instagram for more mid-century modern restorations, and thanks for watching.